lovely, isn't it? I feel like I'm in my own sitting room at home.
All right. Well, thank you for everyone for being here.
But I'll give you a sort of a rough feeling where we are, okay? This is a moment, a snapshot, where it's getting a little bit heightened, and Rosie, as we know, she writes in her diary, and she's got to the point where she's accepted her mum is dead. So before she used to say dear mum, and now it's just changed to dear someone. And this huge conservation matter has happened in the island where like the ice is cracking and all these things are happening that are really major. However, something a little bit more major has happened. She's had a kiss. We all know when we've had a kiss, we all start over-analysing what does it mean. So this is what happened again. 29, dear someone. Dear someone, that kiss, the second chance kiss with Jackson. Stop it, Rosie Frost. The sky is falling and you're thinking about a kiss? Did it really happen? Stop it. We haven't said anything about it since. Don't think about it. Help me. Someone, I've got to get my head straight. The ground is breaking apart, and no one is listening to me. Churchill is too busy schmoozing the Imperial Council. Adults can be so stupid. Someone on this island killed my mum, and Colin, and they're just walking about. Questions. Who killed my mum, if Hemlock didn't? That kiss. I wish I could tell my mum. It was electric, and it made me feel like marshmallow inside. My mind goes fuzzy when Jackson is near me. Has he kissed anyone else? Probably. More questions. Does Miss Churchill know who my dad is? Maybe that's what she was going to tell me. Why do I have to wait to find out? Love, Rosie. P.S. Promise, last question. Jackson's
books and your inspiration for what you included in the stories.
You know, I think we can all say, being here, we're all book lovers. And for those that don't know, this is Jill Santapolo, who's my editor. And she's amazing. Okay. Not only is she my editor, she is a New York Times bestselling author of The Light We Lost, and she has a new book out called The Light We Found, or The Love We Found? The Love We Found, and I've just started reading it, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. But okay, so we're amongst friends here, and we all love books and music, movies, books. And for me, why did I start writing Rosie's? Because I've always found that books, I always process something, or I want to escape. I want a character to be my best friend. It's a safe place. Being in this bookstore, you're just like, there's so many worlds, so many adventures that we can tap into. And it's a commitment, a series of time. And Rosie, I just felt she was needed. She is needed right now. If we really unpack her, what she stands for, and all the world around her, there's so many layers to her. Those characters, they are burning in me, but I feel like they're burning within you. All I see is like the world outside and go, yes, there is a Rosie out there, there's a Jackson, there is a Bino, and there is an Ottilie. All of us are in Rosie Frost. We are, whether we're 12, whether we're 27, whether we're 52 or 72. They're all little chapters. And I think my experience, around the 12 going into 13, 14, I call it the age of power. Because you suddenly go from that feeling of like, I don't belong anywhere, I'm not a kid, and I'm not quite a grown-up, but at 14, 14, you suddenly start going, do you know what? I'm going to claim my sense of self, of who I am. These are my ideas. This is my identity, but that's sort of the underpin of what Rosie is going through, as well as all the outside challenges. And I think that happens again at 27 when you're not the ingenue anymore, and at different periods of our lives. And she is processing that. Okay, this is the age of power. I claim what I feel, what I am.
So, what their power was and why it was important?
When each character, I always think they're never black or white. There is always, like, each and every one of us, no matter where we're from, we bring a whole, a hinterland, a history with us, from our parents, the way we're brought up, whether it's in our DNA. We can ask ourselves those questions, but it's almost like ammunition in a loaded gun, and whether our environment is going to pull that trigger on it, or how we're going to behave, right? And the choices that we make are ours, our free will. Sometimes, they're great choices. Sometimes they're not so great. But the thing is, I think human beings, some of us, might look great, and there's a little bit of, I don't like the word bad, but in all of us, and there's a little bit of good in the worst of us. And I like to think that I create characters that are flawed, they're human, and that's really important to me. And so each one has their own arc. So Hemlock, which, we can all go, oh my God, he's awful. But the backstory of Hemlock, you sort of go, oh, that's why you'll find out why he behaves the way he does. There's a little snapshot of his childhood. You go, oh, okay, and you see a sensitivity with him, which we all can go, oh, okay, a little bit of compassion. And then Ottilie, you find out, I love Ottilie, and she has all these quips and is really funny and sharp. Actually, take off her Batman suit, and we all wear one, don't we? But again, you find out why she has that shell of protection. Underneath all the barriers, you'll see who she is, that vulnerability, and then the arc. So I particularly do love Ottilie's arc.
How would you like to see people get involved in their real worlds?
We can all come from different places, have different accents, look different, okay? But actually, fundamentally, and this is a generalization, we're all the same. That's what I feel, that our hearts are beating, we all care. And, when you put an animal in front of us, we suddenly feel unified. We all want to pet that animal, we all care. And from an early age, I've always had that feeling. I watched this movie, Born Free. I don't know if any of you saw it. It was about these lions in captivity, and I've always had that care for animals. They're just such an honest presence in our lives, and they teach us actually how to be. So yeah, I see a little ginger cat there. I've always just had a passion for animals. I sort of trust people more when they love animals. If they don't, I'm like,
So this book, in addition to having the conservation, because we're all obsessed with clean energy, and so I'm not particularly a scientific person, and I'm like, can you say that again? And getting them to explain it to me. But then I think, can I be a conduit between the scientists and the every person? Do you know what I mean? So it's digestible, and that's sort of like, I would say, the vitamins in the real story. But it doesn't. If you're not interested in it, then it will go over your head. For me, I always think, okay, if you are going to be daring and generous enough to, commit to picking up a book, I'm going to beware. I'm going to do my absolute best that you can't put it down. That you can't put it down, because you're going to want to know the question. You want to know the answer to the question. To grab you by the throat and go, okay, what happened? What happened?
So if that's all you want is some escapism and page turning, because I'm a reader too, so I try and please the reader that experience. It's such a commitment to pick up a book these days and go, am I going to stick with it when there's so much else, so much out there.
Yeah, and I think anyone who picks
do stick. That's sort. There are sort of little tiny bits in the story. They're not like the forefront.
No, but they're exciting when you find them out, and then you tuck them away in your brain, and you're like, oh, now I know that. So another thing that is a thread through the first book and this book is that Rosie is a songwriter. And I know that you also wrote music specifically for this book, for this series. So can you tell us sort of how that came to be and why you wanted Rosie to be a musician and why that was important to you?
Okay, so before I went into music, I studied English literature, and I remember writing these essays and doing quite well. The teacher was giving me really positive feedback. But even before then, I was writing little poems. And so when I went into music, for me, when you write a song, that's like a coffee shop. It's like still a story. It's just a short story. It's making you feel something. And a story is just a meal version. It's taking you on a journey. But I feel that it wouldn't be nice if you can have a 360 experience. So it's just for us that you're gonna get the story, but also you're gonna get the feeling, the song. The song that's in book 2 is the song that Jackson sings when they're on the ice. It's me singing it, but it's actually a song that he sings called Older Now. And it's just processing all the things that we've learned and the things that we lose along the way through our own mistakes. But I just, I feel like give it all to you, but just in our class. It's really lovely that, you've all showed up, so thank you.
So this question is from Carlos A.
Yeah.
And he said, are there any plans for a Rosie Frost movie?
Wow. There are some exciting plans, and I'm very excited to share them with you at some point.
Inspiration.
I think, oh wow, that's really nice. And the whole point, I think, actually, if anything I do or any creative outlet that I do, there always is that under the DNA of it, the genesis of it. Because I always think, why are you doing this? Why? I always try and inspire others at the same time, the way I've been inspired by, many different things out in the world, whether it's movie, books, or music, artists. So that is amazing if anyone's inspired by what I do, even if it's the fact that you go, oh, she's had a go at going her dream. For me, this is such like, oh my God, a dream come true that I get. Imagine I want to write these books, and now I'm on my number 2 book. This is amazing, and everyone's showed up for me, and to have that recognition, it's gorgeous, and I'm incredibly grateful. So, but I can get inspired from the ones that have gone before, or the ones that are growing up. You take inspiration from all sorts of walks of life. Your little daughter, amazing. Just the spirit of someone else that's just going for it. You think, yeah. I always think, oh, if I can see it, I can be it. And I watch other people fulfill their passion or their dream. That's a wonderful thing to see.
Speaking of
me personally.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? It looks like a lot of hard work. No, once I did this thing, it was just for charity, and I did the singing in the rain. It was just like a little bit, right? And so I was working with this really amazing guy. He was that ballet dancer, that really famous one that did Swan Lake. Adam Cooper. Thank you. Okay, and it was Singing in the Rain, and I thought, when you go on, when you do a Broadway thing, you'll really have you're one of many moving parts, and you really have to really show up and be on time. The discipline of it is massive. You are part of one big moving machine, and respect to all of those actors and behind the stage that do it. But I have to say, I like being the painter more than the paint. If I'm really honest, I don't mind being a little bit. I've done some acting. I think it's amazing to be out, and it's very vulnerable and brave. But I definitely like doing that more than the other way.
That's a great one.
All right. Okay, audiobooks. There's nowhere to hide. You're in this little room, you're reading the book, you're reading the story, and you try and do these voices. And there are all these different characters. There's Mary Curie, Madame Marie Curie, and she's French. She's like, what are you doing? And then you're jumping around. There's a new guy called Ludo Vance, and he's Irish, and he's like, oh my gosh, you got a lot of, so you're swapping around, and there is a Texan, Akiva, and so let's try and do a Texan. You gotta be out of your mind. Oh my God, Jill. I'm just so proud of all these people coming here in New York, but oh my God, is that just dreadful? You gotta be out of your mind. I had an accent coach. I've just thrown it out there, but literally go over it and say, do it again. God knows what you're going to think. But just give it a bit of colour, diversity. But forgive me.
I mean, I read this book. It's amazing. All right, I think we're getting the time's up from
We are, unfortunately, but can we please give a round of applause for this?